Hi there, and welcome to the painting portion of the nightmare. If you missed the prep portion, I will link it down in the description below. Check that out if you want to see how I prepped it. If not, let's just get right into the painting here. First up, we are going to be priming this with a darker color for the body, using a medium-sized brush here. I use a charcoal gray. And so what we're going to do is just do the saddle, because it is green stuff, and we do want to primer on that. And we're going to be doing a little darker on the body as well, as it will get a nice darker color for the black that we're going to be using. I use 3 different colors for my priming. A light gray that is actually very similar to the Vallejo one that's on the miniature right now. This charcoal gray, and a black. Depending on what you prime your miniature with is how the colors will show up. So for lighter colors like yellows and lighter reds and lighter greens and blues and such and whites, you're going to want to go with obviously the lighter gray here. But for darker colors, like if you want a darker red or any of the other colors there, or a darker like brown like I'm going to be doing for the saddle, you're going to want to be using a color similar to this. The black is good for if you're just going to be painting something black or want it really dark. Even if you do a couple layers, it will still make a little bit of a difference. Alright, so we're just gonna make sure all the body's done here. Don't want to get any on the hair because that's going to be the fire here. So first up, we're going to use a light blue as the base. Nightmares are traditionally fire colors, so like the yellows, oranges, and reds, but I'm going to make this one a little different here. So what we're going to do is make it a blue one. So we got blue flame here. I'm just going to put a little bit here. Careful, sometimes it gets clogged here. If that happens, just take a little paper clip and try to unclog it. If not, which seems to be the problem I'm having tonight, we're just going to take out the topper and very carefully dip it into the top here, as there's a slight reservoir, as you can see. Alright, so what we're going to want to do here is paint all where the hair is, as this is all going to be flame for the nightmare. If you missed the prep one and didn't look at it, this miniature is a Nolzur's Unicorn, but I just took off the horn from it, shaved it down, and it's going to become a nightmare. Now, nightmares are evil creatures in Dungeons and Dragons, where they used to be, I believe it is unicorns or Pegasi, one of the two, and they get corrupted by an evil ritual and they become essentially demonic versions of their former selves. So that is why they have flame for hair. So what we're going to do, since this is going to be the mount for the big bad guy for part of my campaign, we are going to be making it blue, just to kind of distinguish it from a normal nightmare. Alright, so you're going to want to use brighter lights, try to use LEDs or so to paint, as it'll show you a little bit better. Just want to paint up all the hair here, make sure you get everywhere, because if not, you'll have some dark flames in the blue flame, and that's not going to be that good. So we're just going to do the mane, the tail, and the hooves. Alright. So I have 3 colors picked out here. We have this color, a slightly darker one, and then a dark one for the very tips. If you need to go back and do a couple passes of it, like do a layer, let it dry, and then go back and check it, I do recommend doing that, just because in the end it will look a lot better. The blue is very similar to the gray that the primer is, but there is a slight difference, and that's perfect. Doesn't really look blue right here, but it's essentially a whitish blue in person, which is good because this is good for the base of a flame. So I have a picture of a flame pulled up on a side monitor here as I'm doing this, so I can use it as reference. So we're just going to be careful. If you hit the rocks or the hooves themselves, that's fine. We're going to be painting them later so we can easily cover it up. Just later on, this is when you want to be even more careful. Right, so just making sure I got everything here. See? All done. Alright. Next up, we have Garnet Red. We're going to be doing the base for the... well, base coat for the base, actually. And what we're going to do is, instead of having him on Earth or anything like that, we're going to have him on a magma or a lava type base. The rock we're going to be on is going to be magmatic in nature. You know, kind of get the devilish, demonic feel to him. So what we're going to do is take some Garnet Red here, which is a deeper red I have, and we're just going to get the rock here. Gotta make sure we get everywhere. And we're going to get some of the base, just so it doesn't look too weird. So we're just going to do this is just going to be the base coat, so don't worry about it not being too dark or anything like that. I will fix that in a little bit by adding in a couple more layers. Right? So we're just going to get everywhere, make sure we get a nice even base coat. Being very careful not to hit any of the hair on his feet. Remember, for using eyedropper paints, only do a couple drops at a time, as a couple drops are a lot. It doesn't look like it, but they are a lot. So I want to make sure everything, even in the cracks around the base where it's sealed from the base to the, well, sealed from the rock to the base, I should say. Right. Next up, we're going to be doing the medium blue, which I have chosen dragon blue here. It is slightly darker, and what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to gently paint it, onto it, leaving some of the lighter blue down in the recesses. Alright, so remember, just a drop or two on your paint palette will be more than enough, especially for what we're going to be doing here. So we're going to be using a slightly smaller brush. We're just going to be gently doing it. Had I remembered to do it when I was actually painting the model here, I would have just dry brushed most of this instead of doing it this way. Dry brushing is just taking a little bit of paint on your brush and very gently putting it over the raised edges. That would have worked a lot better on this miniature, but I completely forgot about that as I was painting this, and well, I think the end result worked out pretty well either way. Not bad for the first time doing something like this in a long time, actually. Alright, so we're going to get here, get the mane, the tail, the hooves, the little chin. Alright, next up we're going to be doing the body. I'm using a metallic sequence paint that is, yes, a craft paint, but I do quite enjoy it. It's a black metallic color that I've used in my 40k games on some of my miniatures, and after a couple of coats, it works wonders. So what we're going to do is going to be using that as the body for this nightmare. Remember, you're going to want to use your special metallic brushes so you don't get any of the sequences in your normal paint. I go through this in my tool video, but for a quick reminder, just use a separate paint brush for your metallics and a separate water so you don't mix metallics and mattes together. So we're just going to make sure it's nice and mixed properly. Grab it here, and we're going to grab the medium brush. I have two brushes for metallics, a medium and a detail. So we're just going to grab the medium and carefully go all around the body. Going to take care not to hit any of the fire or anything like that, as that's already done, so we don't want to have to go back and redo any of that. If it gets on the the saddle a little bit, that's fine. We're still going to have to be doing that. Alright, so I just want to carefully do this. At any point I could use the detail brush, but right now I have a steady enough hand that I'm able to carefully get all of the body without actually hitting the fire. Okay, so I just want to get everywhere. It gives it a nice sheen here. I think it looks really good. Alright, so next up what we're going to do is get some more of the red, and we're just going to now give this a nice solid base coat. Make sure all the base is nice solid red, and the rock itself, any pieces you missed or that it didn't take properly, we're just going to go over now and just fill those in. So, nice solid color here. Remember to look at it from different angles with your lights, like I just did there, because I did miss a few spots. So easy enough to go back and do. Alright, so gonna let that dry, and next up we're going to use a gunmetal gray. This is a metallic, darker gray that is good for kind of like steel coloring. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do the hooves on this. And we're going to want to grab the detail brush here, not the thicker one, as we are doing the small hooves. We don't want to get any on the red rock. Alrighty, so we're just going to quickly paint them up. A couple strokes and they're done. Not too bad. Being very careful not to hit the fire or the rocks. Alrighty. Make sure you get all around. Alright, next up we're going to be doing the saddle, which, luckily enough here, I actually do have a paint saddle brown. Perfect! So, since that's perfect, put a little bit too much on the palette there, but that is fine. We'll use that up later. I'm going to grab it here and give the saddle a nice coating of this. Now, it is a little flat, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be giving it a wash later. You'll see that I haven't used a wash really at all on this miniature. Washes are essentially just very, very liquidy paints, and they get in the recesses. On future projects, on miniatures that need it, I'll be using it, but I didn't really think that any spot on here really needed a wash, other than the saddle here. So, got the saddle here. So what we're going to do now is make the wash. So you can either buy pre-made washes, or you can make your own, which is really easy to do. So since we're going to want to make this look a little dirtier and get it in the corners, we're going to grab some of this base brown that we use, well the saddle brown I should say. Alright, going to move it over a little bit in case we have to use it more later. Then we're going to add a little bit of a darker color. In this case, I'm taking a drop of black. Depends on how dark you want it. I want mine to be more grittier, so it is going to be the full black. Just going to take a drop here and mix it in with the brown. Now, forgetting that black was a little bit more powerful than brown here, I do need to add a little bit more brown to lighten it up a little bit. So that's what we're just going to do here. That's a nice darker brown. You might have a brown that's already this dark in your collection if you have it, in which case just put a drop down and add the water. So we're going to grab this nice thick brush here. It will absorb a lot of water. Dip it into our water. Make sure it's cleaner water. I just cleaned my water before I started doing this, so it's all good. Alright, so we're going to carefully want to put some water here. Alright, and after that, grab your little stir stick. After the water, grab your stir stick and mix it together so it's nice and liquidy. Everything's mixed up nice. Alright. So if it's not runny enough, then Just add some more water until you get the right consistency. But I did forget to do the bedroll on the back. So what we're going to do is just leave the wash there for a minute. We're just going to quickly do the roll. So I have a flat brown here, just to kind of emulate, it's a darker brown, so kind of to emulate leather. What we're going to do is just, sorry for the shaking here, we're going to just put a little drop. Hopefully this cooperates with me and it's actually a drop. Come on, drop. A little bit more than a drop, but that is perfectly alright. So we're going to grab our medium brush again, and we're just going to quickly, carefully do the bedroll here. Taking care to try not to hit the skin or the saddle. Alright. Remember, you can use a smaller brush if you don't feel comfortable using bigger brushes, but I feel comfortable, so I did it here. Alright, see? Nice brown. So what we're going to do now is just take a wash. So we're just going to take, it could be any brush really, any of the medium or higher brushes, as long as it has a lot of bristles. Don't use a detail, generally. So what we're going to do is just dip it in there so that it soaks up, and we're just going to go over all the edges and the creases so the wash goes into the corners, allowing it to get a more detailed look and kind of like a grittier look. See? Quick and easy, makes a world of difference. Could have done something similar with the fire, but he's ready to gallop on. Alright, and so up next we're going to do the eyes. Alright, we want something that pops. So I was looking through my paints, and I have one color that's nice and bright that would surely pop against the black, and that is Copper Vertigo. Alright, so we're just going to want to do a drop here, gently squeezing. Remember, it's the eye, so we don't even really need a drop. If you could get half a drop or a whole bunch like that, this is why it's good to be careful when you're pouring it, because you sometimes put a little bit too much, but that's fine. If you have multiple projects on the go, it's good to have, you can put some on another one, which luckily enough I did. So we're going to have a small detail brush here. I do have smaller, as you can see, it's quite a bit smaller than my medium. I do have even smaller brushes than this, but my hand's steady enough right now that I'm able to use this kind of medium-sized detail brush. Alright, so just going to carefully do the eyes, a couple quick strokes, and the eyes are done. See, less than a drop, even though the bottle wanted to give me about 5. Alright, so up next, we're going to want to do the dark blue here. So we're going to get a little bit, and we are going to now essentially dry brush onto the very edges and tips of all the edges here, carefully, so that they are the very point. Not getting too much paint on my brush, just on the very tip. I want to be careful not to on the edges to get into the creases, all the hair, as that needs to be lighter if you look at some flames. Sorry for my camera not focusing here. I didn't realize it was focusing until afterwards. I thought I had autofocus, but it turned out not to be. Next up, we're going to be finishing off the base with some oranges here to replicate lava or magma. Alright, so we're going to need darker and lighter. So, it's kind of the reverse of what we did for the fire. We're going to go dark all the way into light at the very middle. So first up, the darker the oranges. Just going to get some. I'm putting it in one of these little ones here because I'm going to be needing to mix it later with a few other colors. Alright. So at this point, this is where your creativity can come in. There's no really right or wrong way to do this. just if you don't know fully what it kind of looks like, just search up magma pools or lava running or something like that, and it'll give you a nice look. What I'm doing here is there's some kind of cracks in the rock, and so I'm making that look like there's magma pouring out onto the ground around it. Don't do straight lines, as cracks don't really run in straight lines, they run in squiggly. So that's what we're going to do. So there, base coat of the dark is done. Let me focus up here to get a better shot. There we go. See? Base coat done. Remember, don't do what I do and grab the miniature. That will rub off the paint. Not on the first time, but after a while it will. So just better off getting to the habit of not touching it at all once it's painted. Without sealing it, sorry. Next up, we're going to use a lighter orange here. If it will focus here. Fireball orange. Perfect, since this is fire type. Alright, so we're just going to shake that up. Drop that in. What I'm doing here is mixing that and some lighter red together to kind of give it a gradient, semi-cooled look. We don't want too much red in, just enough to say, hey, I'm red and I'm here. Alright, so just put a drop or a drop and a half. There we go. And mix it up, gives it a slight red tinge to it. Alrighty here. Go mix that up with our handy little mixing stick. Go mix it up with our handy little mixing stick here. Alright. See? Nice. Let's focus it here. Nice color here. Mix it up a little bit better. Nice orangey red for the edges. Alright. Perfect color. For me, at least. So we're going to grab the miniature and just take a smaller brush, and we're just going to do the insides. Don't do the entire thing, remember? You want to leave a little bit of the orange out. Just going to do the insides. See? Already it's coming along nicely. There's only a few colors. But we're not done. We're going to be adding more. Alright. So we're going to be adding a little bit more just to get a little lighter here, which is easy enough to do. Just take your fireball orange, a couple of drops, since we don't need too terribly much. And then we are going to just carefully do the inside tracks. Now I have an even smaller detail brush here. This one is pretty fine, and this is definitely what I need for this job. So we're just going to do the insides here. I definitely recommend at least having a very fine one, a medium fine, size similar to what I use to paint everything else, and a larger brush for base coating. The 4 should do you well as you start out, and as you start doing more painting, you can just expand your collection like I have. Alright, so we're just going to do a light orange here. Gives a nice look here. It looks a lot better in person, actually, but I think it comes across the camera pretty well. And that is the nightmare. Thank you for tuning in. Hi there, thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, please leave a like so I know to make more like it. If you guys like my videos, feel free to subscribe. If you have any game suggestions, leave a comment down below. And thanks, and see you next video.